Hey, I'm CC Summers, and my targeted ads are becoming very specific. This game popped up in my recommendeds on Steam, and I was like, oh, free to play, cool. And then it says it's Lovecraftian and post-apocalyptic, which I'm like, awesome, love Lovecraft, love post-apocalyptic. And then I was clicking through the pictures in the preview screen, and there was boobs. And I was like, the internet just knows who I am as a person now. So I figured I wouldn't give them the chance to blackmail me when I could just expose myself for free for the whole internet. So I'm CC Summers, and this is who I am. These are the games that I play. Take that, Google. Other than Lovecraftian boobies, I don't really know what this game is about. So let's go on an adventure. It's pitch black outside. 2 sets of footsteps approach before the door swings open briskly. Cat, we're home. He drops a heavy bundle on the table. This one nearly got away. He looks disappointed. She smiles as she gives Harold a warm hug. But my handsome heroes didn't let it. How'd it go? It's been a few days. Was there trouble? Is this supposed to be like his wife or something? Because she looks like an actual child. Like, her face looks like she's 12. 13 at the oldest. Am I crazy? Do not like it. His frown disappears as he hugs his wife. It's getting harder to navigate out there. Nothing we can't handle, though. It's a good thing we have Marco. He landed the killing bolt. The forest surrounding our town has been getting more dangerous. People are concerned the impact zone might be expanding. New spatial anomalies have been appearing near our hunting grounds. Of course he did. You two are excellent hunters. Thanks. I don't know if we could have made it this far without you, son. It's a good thing you came home when you did. A few months before the cataclysm, I lost my job in the city and had to move back home. Okay. So you're telling me that this woman is old enough to be married with a son that had grown up, moved out, got a job with the city, lost that job, and then had to move back in. You're telling me this little girl is old enough to have a kid in their 20s? That's what you're gonna tell me? Somebody's fucking lying here. Somebody's lying. And I think it's this game. You're right, Dad. I don't want to think about what would have happened if I were still there during the cataclysm. The whole city of Savannah was hit by the blast. There's nothing left in the impact zone but ruins. Sensing the mood shift, she changes the topic. What is it this time? Venison? She starts unwrapping the bundle on the table. Boar! A big mean one. Take a look at this. He pulls out a tusk the size of his forearm. Oh, wow. Were they ever that big before? No, they're getting bigger by the day. Awesome. Boars are terrifying. So what better than to just make them gigantic? He turns to Marco. We might need to get that new crossbow of yours next time. Sure, it's nearly ready. I just need to find some steel cables. Our fiber strings aren't strong enough yet. Guess we'll just have to find some then. Take it easy for the evening. Your mom and I will prepare the meat for smoking. His smile grows and he grips Marco's shoulder. The hero of the hunt deserves some time to himself. He gives Marco's shoulder a gentle shove. Think I'll hit the hay then. Tomorrow I'd like to look for that cable if you don't mind. Marco hangs his jacket up by the door and starts unpacking his things. Sounds good to me. We'll have bacon in our bellies when we do. 'Kay. Marco excuses himself and retires for the evening. Was he 80 years old? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the pleasure of your company. I must retire for the night. It is 6:30 in the evening. Catherine! The next day, Marco wakes up to a commotion in the house. A door slams. Marco jumps out of bed as soon as he hears the terror in his father's voice. Dad, what's wrong? Marco, your mother, she's missing. Oh my God. She was gone when I woke up. The front door was standing wide open. Leaves had blown in on the floor behind him. Visibly upset, he takes a breath to calm himself. I'm going to search the town. You get our hunting packs and meet me at the gas station. He's already started turning to leave. I'll check the houses on the way. Why don't you just give me a fucking second and I can go together? Harold marches through the door, like we're going to be 30 seconds behind this man. Stunned, Marco takes a moment to process what just happened. This isn't like her. She knows how dangerous it is going out alone. He takes his jacket off the hanger, grabbing his father's as well. He left without his jacket or gear. I'd have to catch up to him before this gets worse. Marco turns and walks to the supply room. The supply room. This had been Marco's new home since the cataclysm. Many late nights were spent here repairing tools or fabricating new equipment. His father taught him welding as a teen. It proved a useful skill in their new world. Marco wondered how many more nights he would get to spend working quietly in this room. He pushes the anxiety to the back of his mind and sets himself to the task at hand. All right, I have to do this fast. I can only carry so much. What will Marco bring? Okay. We have a hunting crossbow bolts, our dad's backpack, 2 cans of sprats, I don't know what that is, his prototype crossbow, special bolts, hunting knife, and flashlight. What is a sprat? It's a fish. There's 2 cans of fish. Okay, I feel like probably a knife, right? You don't have to reload a knife. Prepared plenty of wild game with this. Take the hunting knife? Yes. Probably his dad's backpack, right? He'll probably need his backpack. We'll take the backpack. Do we think we're going to be out in the dark? Because I would kind of want the flashlight. Yeah, let's take the flashlight. Okay. Let's go catch up to Dad. Running through the ruined town, Marco looks for houses he knows are still occupied. That's the miller's house. The front door is open. Did the same thing happen there? His stomping can be heard echoing off the empty buildings in the deadly silent town. The town of Levy was just a dot on the map, even before the events following the cataclysm. Now it was abandoned, most considering it too close to the impact zone to be habitable. Lately, even the wildlife has been moving away. Or worse, only a few families are left now. It looks like Dad already woke up the whole town. He rounds his last turn, and as the gas station becomes visible, he sees someone waiting for him. His heart sinks as he recognizes the silhouette. That's Uncle Dennis. Where is everyone? Uncle Dennis waves with urgency as he sees Marco approaching. Where's Dad? Your father gathered up everyone who was left and headed toward the old industrial district. How long did it take us to pack our fucking backpack? Like, Jesus. That was so fast. He just, fucking the flashed all the way through this tiny little village and took off with all these people? Come on. What do you mean, who was left? What's going on? People went missing during the night. That's all we know. From the looks of it, it was only the women that were taken. The men have all left with your father. He asked me to stay behind and meet you here. Why are they heading to the industrial district? Your father found the tracks. Marco, it doesn't look good. All the tracks he found were barefoot. It's not looking good. Leave without shoes? Horrible. Because that's all women care about is shoes. And they're just going to leave without them? No, this doesn't make any sense. We're too far from the impact zone for something like this. I know, but you've seen how the area is changing. The woods have gotten more dangerous. Even the animals are getting larger and more aggressive. Harold thinks it might be the mind scourge. No one has confronted the mind scourge. Dennis, I know, it's bad. No one has woken up from the mind scourge. Your father thinks they can stop the women if they just get to them before they get to wherever they're going. Marco looked off in the distance. He could see the fog that surrounds the impact zone and the bright spot glowing in the center. We have to catch up. They're going to need our help. The two of them set off at a trot, trying to catch up with the other group of men. Just outside town, they ran into their first anomalies and slowed down to navigate them safely. Hopefully. Marco and Dennis carefully stepped around the deadly hot spots of anomalous activity. Every few steps, Dennis would throw a pebble ahead of him to check for dangerous effects. The garden seems to be unchanged. This is the same path Dad and I took last time. Don't let your guard down or you'll end up like them. Dennis gestured to the grim statues of former neighbors that dotted the area around them. Still, none of these are new. These are all people who were caught in the garden before Dad mapped it out. That means they made it through safely at least. Dennis freezes in place as the pebble he just threw jerks in the air and stops moving. Wait, don't move. Dennis and Marco watch as the pebble suddenly sprouts bark-colored tendrils in every direction. Uh-oh. The pebble quickly becomes lost in the wooden mass as the tendrils reach downward, groaning as they twist around each other and grow. The mass of roots and limbs ceases its movement once the tendrils reach the ground. It was close. Has the path moved, Marco? No, you're just too far to the right. There's a dog leg here that we can head out. What? There's a dog leg here before we can head out to the other side. Like an actual leg, like a dog's leg. Marco knew the paths almost as well as his father. You lead then. It's been too long since I passed through the garden. Marco moves to the front and starts tossing stones from his own pouch of pebbles. Uncle Dennis, when was the last time you took this path? Not since her. Dennis points to one of the figures frozen in place. The woman looks as if she was sculpted from tree bark. All the folds of her clothing were visible through the texture of the wooden mass. Even the expression on her face is still visible, displaying her last agonizing grimace forever. I go the long way now, through the north end of the Red Forest. Marco nods. That's the long way, all right. It's way more dangerous up there, too. What a convenient time to ask that. Like, how long has it been since the garden? Oh, son, well, that lady right there. When I got that lady killed? Yep, that's the last time. At least they didn't have to wait for it. You know, like he wasn't like, when's the last time you've been in the garden? And he's just like, hold on, let me show you. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, there she is, that's why. It was just right there. Convenient. It's a shame what happened to Mara. She was always a reckless one. She got so worked up when your father brought back the first artifact. She decided she would show him up by being the first one to map out the garden and bring back her own. You mean Dad hadn't found a path through this place by then? No, no one had. It was too dangerous at the time. He gestures to the dozen or so statues of unfortunate scavengers around them. Your father saw all of these and told everyone it wasn't worth the risk. They were still using the old route through the South Swamp back then. What made him change his mind then? Sure, this route is the most direct way to get to Old Savannah, but what made it worth the risk? It never was. Your father still warns people not to go this way. Your father was only able to map this path out because of that artifact he brought back. Something here clouds people's minds, makes it hard to think. He said that blue rock he carried around helped him stay sharp. Once he had that, he did it because of Mara. He felt responsible for her turning into that. He looks back at her as the two of them exit the garden. He did it for you too, didn't he? Marco stopped and looked back at his uncle. You knew her, didn't you? As gray as a tombstone, Dennis turned back to the path ahead. Yes, let's go. Harold is probably already through the Red Forest, but we can still catch up if we pick up the pace. Sensing the difficulty his uncle was having, Marco silently jogged along behind him, considering the challenges ahead. It should be clear for a while. 2 bends in the path before we reach the Red Forest. I haven't taken this path since I first started going on excursions with Dad. Dennis, slow down. I don't recognize that up ahead. Marco points at a figure next to the path ahead. Just a lady sitting there. Hello, lady. Either the perspective is off or she is ginormous. That's a dangerous one, Marco. She's not real. Don't speak to her. Don't even look at her. What do you mean she's not real? She's sitting right there, isn't she? Gigantically, yes. I mean, she's an anomaly. This isn't the garden, and no one has seen someone get trapped like that. Dennis, she's moving. She's still alive? Marco, trust me, she's not real. It's just an anomaly trying to lure you in. That would work. Don't sit there and pretend like it wouldn't. It looks like her legs are fused, like in the garden. Are you sure she's not from the town? Dennis stops abruptly and turns to face Marco. Marco, stop. He has his hand up by his face to block the woman from his own view. I'm turning around and going to find your father. I can't turn back again. This is a very dangerous place. Don't try to help that thing. You'll only get yourself killed. Dennis turns abruptly away and starts jogging. Let's go, Marco. He shouts back without looking behind him. Marco stands there confused. What if she's one of the women we're looking for? What has gotten into Uncle Dennis? Approach the woman? AKA, die? Let's die. Let's go look at her. Marco approaches the woman cautiously. Miss, do you need help? Can you tell me where the anomaly is that got you? Marco pulls out a pebble and tosses it to her feet. Nothing happens. Well, it seems safe to approach at least. Yeah, so safe. So safe. The woman turns and gives Marco a vacant stare. Are you able to speak? The woman offers no reply. Marco suddenly feels his face flush as he catches himself staring at her chest. What are you doing out here? What's a girl like you doing in a place like this? Why are you so naked? Marco feels something inside him tugging him toward the woman. Probably his dick. Go ahead, die. Where does Marco touch the woman? Oh. Face? Marco reaches out to touch her face, and she bites his hand off. Before his fingers touch her skin, she suddenly jerks toward him with an open mouth. Before he can react, the woman forces her mouth around his hand, sucking on— Ugh, gross, ew. Warm saliva coats his hand as she eagerly moves her tongue. Yikes! Is she gonna— Oh, and he has no gag reflex as he just shoves his hand in her mouth. Cool. I thought she was gonna bite his hand off. Okay, well, we'll just keep seeing how long it takes for us to move our fingers. This is in her throat now. Doesn't seem to mind my fingers in her throat at all. She's just going to slowly eat us like a boa constrictor. Just putting... Okay. Ew. There he goes. Yep, now she's gonna eat his arm. Haha. Uh-oh, now he's stuck in the roots. Dennis, help! Someone please help me! Marco's panic screams echo through the forest as his limbs become stiff. Roots climb his legs as the skin hardens. His clothing becomes the same bark that covers the trees around him. The red forest's newest tree will now forever preserve his last tortured scream as a shape in the bark. Oh no, it looks like something went wrong for Marco. Be sure to pack the right equipment and stay focused on the goal if you want to complete the story. But sometimes losing is fun. There's a lot of content to see, so try everything. Let's go over my notes and see what went wrong. Boppy grabs a pile of papers that are covered in crude doodles. Boppy checks her notes. Oh, you went for the first wormhole you could find. Oh, no. Be careful when dealing with spooky ladies. They're dangerous. That was ending 1 out of 12. Did we know it was going to happen? Yes. Was it still entertaining? Also, yes. I wanted to see if any of the other options of dying will be an additional ending, or if it's just like messing with her leads to one ending, death. You know what I mean? Like, is it like death by this means or not, then death by this means, or is it both just you mess with her, you die? I'm gonna see. I'm gonna just fucking go for it, man. Let's go. Just... I didn't want to go this far. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Guess we'll die. I'm so uncomfortable. Now he's fused to her. Stupid. You have an insatiable appetite for boobs. Accurate. That was a nice pair of them, but they're dangerous. It was ending 2 out of 12. Okay, so it is. So I gotta go back again. Okay, so see, there's a woman, naked, in the woods, whose entire lower half is fused to the ground like a tree. And you know that that is what happens when a person comes across an anomaly, right? We've gathered that much. This woman is supposed to be a victim. She is supposedly trapped in a vulnerable state. And what do? We just go up and grab just a fucking fistful of boob. I think we deserve what we get. 1000% become a tree, you dumb man. Like, in this point, yeah, what are you expecting to happen? Like, you're gonna touch her legs instead of trying to help her get out of this entanglement? Tree. Do not pass, go. Do not collect $200. Instant tree. Then you touch her on the legs. Don't do that. I hope that this turns into a teeth scenario. And there's just a little set of dentures down there. Okay, what went wrong this time, Boppy? Insatiable appetite for boobs. Gets me every time. Weren't her legs stuck to the ground? I wonder what position that counts as. It doesn't. 3 out of 12. Okay. Let's move on from the naked woman in the forest. We're leaving the spooky woman in the forest alone. We're just gonna keep on walking. Get away from me, siren. Let's go catch up with Dennis. I'm tired of being left behind. I hope Uncle Dennis knows where he's going. The red forest. Uncle Dennis shouldn't be too far away. The spongy red forest floor squishes under his feet as he continues his trek. An oppressive cloud hangs in the forest day and night, sometimes blocking the sun entirely. The forest seems darker than usual. Something isn't right. Have there been too many people here today? He looks down at the red, flesh-like nodules covering the floor. Some are already flattened from Dennis passing through. As if to reply, an oppressive darkness swallows the forest around him. The only light visible through the black is the glow of the impact zone in the sky, tinted red by the forest's anger. This isn't good. Dad warned me about upsetting the red forest. A loud crack can be heard from the forest ahead. A gunshot? Marco hurries forward to the sound where he sees several figures writhing on the ground. Ahead is a mound of flesh, arms and legs crawling over each other to reach the center of the mass. Uh-oh. One of the creatures appears to be watching as it stands nearby. Is Uncle Dennis in there? I hope not. The forest is going to eat him alive if I don't do something. What will Marco do? I could throw the flashlight, but then I won't have it anymore. And apparently this forest is pitch black. So I don't know how I'll navigate out of the forest. But then again, I would die. So, chalk up another ending for me. Okay, let's throw the flashlight. Marco carefully covers the end of the flashlight and turns it on. Careful not to shine it where the creatures are looking, he tosses high and to the side. The flashlight hits a tree a few dozen yards away with a loud thud. 2 of the creatures look up and dart over to the sound, exposing the object at the center of the mass. Dennis lies motionless as the remaining creature picks at his carcass. I'm sorry, Uncle Dennis, but I have to leave you like this. After clearing the scene, Marco continues toward the industrial district in pursuit of his father. As he approaches the outskirts of the industrial district, Marco sees a man standing and staring into the red forest. What does Marco do? Well, we are a very friendly person. We're just going to walk right up to him. We're going to be like, "Hello, sir, how do you do? Are you also stuck in the ground? And if so, I'm going to touch your chest." Marco walks over to the man standing in the open. The man is staring into the center of the impact zone, motionless. His expression is blank and his eyes have clouded. "Hey, you okay?" Marco steps in front of the man and feels a chill crawl down his spine as the man continues staring through him. This is the mind scourge. He's gone. Marco turns and continues into the ruins of the old industrial district. As Marco explores deeper into the ruins, he spots a campfire flickering in one of the buildings. "Hello? Dad? Anyone here?" No one replies. Looking around the room, Marco sees nothing but debris. Even the area around the fire is cluttered. Why would they make a fire without clearing a spot to sit? Searching the area around the fire, Marco spots a table that has had the dust and debris brushed away. As he approaches the table, he spots a brown leather object on the table. Dad's notebook? Marco hurries over and grabs the notebook. Flipping to the end of the note, he finds a hastily drawn map of the area with a note. "Marco, we tracked the women to the basement of a building here. Something burrowed in from the ground. We don't know how far the tunnel goes. Some of the men went ahead. The rest of us are going in soon. If you find this note before I get back, just wait for me there. This place is too dangerous for you. If Dennis wants to join us, tell him to bring his gun. This might be the place to finally use it." Marco has to fight to hold back tears. Dennis is gone, and now you and Mom? He swallows the lump in his throat and puts the notebook away. It must not have been long. The fire is still burning. Do I wait or try to catch up to them? Obviously, we're gonna stay there. You know what? He said it was dangerous, and I'm just gonna sit here and die. We're just gonna sit and wait for death. I'll wait. Dad will be expecting me here when he gets back. I can at least wait until the fire burns out. Marco waits until the campfire burns out before heading out. Oh. Okay, well, let's explore to the left. Let's go left. Left it is. After a short trip down the tunnel, Marco enters an expansive cavern. The walls are covered in a writhing mass of tentacles. A heavy feeling of dread and death fills the air. As he enters the room, Marco notices a blue triangular rock at his feet. This is Dad's artifact. He pockets the artifact and immediately feels his mind clear. Marco looks around the room and his heart sinks immediately. In the corner are the broken bodies of men and women from his town. Most of them are hardly recognizable as human. The tentacles wrapped around their bodies contort them, slowly ripping them apart as they're pulled into the mass. Marco's vision sharpens and focuses on a point in the mass. He watches, frozen in place, as he watches his father's face surface in the mass. It contorts under the pressure of the tentacles as they squeeze the lifeless head, pulling it deeper into the wall. Teeth clenched, Marco looks around the cavern for some source of the monstrosity. The massive tentacles. The massive tentacles are joining together and forming lumps of human flesh. And by lumps of human flesh, they mean boobs. It's just a whole bunch of boobs smushed together into a ball. Is this thing growing new people? Just the boob parts. Marco looks around and sees several of these growths. It's digesting my town to create this? Marco follows the growths with his eyes to a tunnel at the back of the cavern. The tunnel is completely filled with writhing tentacles. There's not a way to pass without becoming trapped. They must all come from a central area. Marco turns and heads back the way he came. Which direction should Marco explore? Let's go right down the middle. Marco heads through the middle tunnel. The center path opens to a massive cavern filled with undulating masses of flesh and tentacles. Dozens of large holes line the walls, all with throbbing trunks of the creature's limbs passing through. Jesus. This must be where they're all coming from. Marco stepped into the center of the room, avoiding touching any of the snake-like appendages on the floor. As he did, he could hear a crunching sound coming from one of the holes. Marco looked up to see a pulverized body emerged, carried by one of the appendages. The body was still clothed, and bits of dirt and debris fell off the floor as it emerged. How far do these tunnels go? Marco's thoughts were interrupted by a boom in his head he was sure would split him in two.
As far as necessary,
said the mind scourge. The masses of tentacles shifted to reveal a woman. She stared directly at Marco with intelligence he hadn't seen in the other victims. Her jaw hung slack, but her eyes were filled with hate.
Why do you resist?
The voice in his head sounded angry and confused, like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Marco could feel a burning sensation in his pocket. His father's artifact was working. I don't know how long this thing will last. Better to end it quickly. I imagine, it said.
You will end nothing.
The room rumbles as a wall of interlocking tentacles converges on the entrance. In a fit of rage, the mind scourge swallows its human proxy, only to expose a new one moments later. Marco reaches into his bag and pulls out his hunting knife. I'll have to make this count.
Stop. Look at this perfection.
God damn it. Fucking amazing. Marco fights the urge to stop and stare and unsheaths the knife.
You can have as many as you like.
That one has hand feet. Maintaining his composure, he walks toward the central mass, knife in hand. You're making him too fast, man. Look at this. What is this? What is this? With every step he takes, the artifact grows hotter until he can smell his own skin burning. Marco? Honey? Is everything all right? Thank God our mom has clothes on. Jesus. Because one, it's mom. And two, she's fucking 12 years old, 13 years old. I'd shut it down. Yep, we're all good here. Marco, please. Don't do this to me. I'm in here, alive. Marco hesitates at the image of his mother. Marco? Mother? I know it's not Mom, but there's 12 endings. And this will be one of them. Mom? Marco stops and turns towards his mother, who's now standing beside him. I hope that's not his mom. Catherine walked towards him, arms outstretched. Marco, please, give me your father's artifact so we can stop this creature. No, this is a lie. This is gonna be a bitch to edit.
Oh, pity. It appears you are out of time, Marco.
The artifact in Marco's pocket explodes into molten fragments, violently tearing through his pants. Before a scream can escape his mouth, his eyes cloud and his body stiffens. The mind scourge has him now. Oh no, it looks like something went wrong for Marco. Alright, let's see what went wrong. Oh, I almost fell for that one too. Remember, the mind scourge can get inside your head. That was ending 11 out of 12. Okay, we're gonna try for one more. Okay, so fuck the backpack. Obviously, this is not helping us. So we're just gonna take the hunting crossbow. What kind of bolts are these? Oh, but no, you don't want to take those. We'll take the flashlight again. And we'll take the knife. We just won't bring the backpack this time. Okay. So we'll go to the left again. Get the artifact. The thing is growing new people, yes. It's digesting the town to create these horrifying amalgamations of limbs. Ugh. Okay, so go right this time, maybe? Let's go right. The right tunnel opens up to a room the size of a gymnasium. Where did all these women come from? Marco can feel his mind clouding. This must be the mind scorcher. Marco focuses himself, pushing through the fog. She has no head. There is no head on her. This room is filled with female torsos, some more complete than others, all attached to a mass of undulating tentacles. Is this thing creating new people? The town didn't have this many women in it. There must be hundreds here. And they're all the exact same woman. Do we keep searching? I feel like we're gonna get stuck here if we keep searching. What better way to die than amidst just a pile of torsos and tentacles? Marco continues searching for anyone familiar, fighting against the thick cloud consuming his mind. Oh, he's got a head. This is exhausting. None of these look familiar, but they do look appealing. Oh yes, what is not appealing about this? What is not very attractive about this tentacle man? And his giant titties. Keep searching? Absolutely. We keep looking. Oh, this one has a real person head. They sure do. They just keep going. Okay. I don't know if it's gonna change anything. I guess we'll just head back. And we'll go down the middle. Ooh, she's a cool one. I like this one. Dig in the tentacle accents like it's her hair. What happened? I think the game just crashed. This is a great experience. 10 out of 10. Okay, we have the hunting crossbow now. So instead of throwing the flashlight, we can maybe I'm hoping that if we use the hunting crossbow, it's not necessarily going to shoot one of them. It's going to just shoot in a distance, distract them. Like we did with the flashlight. We turned the flashlight on and we threw it and it distracted them long enough for us to see it was Dennis and fuck off. I'm really hoping that we don't just go and shoot one of them in the ass and then they turn around and they're like, well, great, there's another one to eat. I don't have any bolts. Oh, I didn't break any bolts. It's fine. It's fine. We're doing fine. Okay, we're just gonna toss the flashlight then. See ya, Dennis. Alright, let's just go right ahead and get in there. And we know Dad's to the left. We have the artifact. Is Dad alive? No. Okay. I was like, maybe because we waited so long, Dad is dead because we waited so long. There's so many different pictures of this. So many. This one is a fancy bitch. Okay, I think that's my favorite one. Hands down. This is my favorite one. I feel like this room is purely just so you can look at naked people. There's no benefit to this room. You just keep searching and then a new naked lady pops up and then you're like, keep searching and then a new one pops up. It doesn't matter that I've clicked this button 8 times. we're not going to talk about it. All right, to the middle. Let's hope it doesn't crash this time. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to kill the thing, I guess. I don't know why it's doing this. I would just like to point out that this game has no save function. So every time that this game crashes or I reach an ending, I have to go all the way back to the beginning and then do all of this all over again. But I grabbed crossbow bolts for the crossbow this time. So let's shoot a bitch in the ass and probably get eaten. Marco pulls out the hunting crossbow and hastily loads a bolt. Thwack! The bolt finds its target, directly through the skull of the observing creature. It falls to the ground limp as two of the creatures stand and turn to Marco. He calmly pulls back the string and drops another bolt in. Thwack! A second hit, and a second creature falls to the ground. Only with a handful of steps between him and the now lunging mutated mass, he loads his last bolt. Thwack! Another good hit. The charging creature rolls to a stop against a nearby tree. Dennis! Marco calls to his uncle and runs over to where the mass had been. What is left is barely recognizable as his uncle's body. His face was a shiny red pulp, and his limbs were covered in open wounds where his flesh was eaten away. Marco touched his uncle's neck. His skin was cold as ice. I'm sorry, Uncle Dennis. The Red Forest has claimed him. After clearing the scene, Marco continues towards the industrial district in pursuit of his father. As he approaches the outskirts of the industrial district, yes, we couldn't grab his gun? Didn't he say Dennis had a gun? Like, didn't the dad say, tell Dennis to bring his gun? That was the whole, now we just used all of our bolts. We don't have any more bolts. See those little eyes back there? Okay, so let's see. Is it going to let me? Isn't even a person in that one. Didn't bring enough ammo. Yeah, we used all of our crossbow. Of course, the one time had all of our crossbow bolts and the game didn't crash and we don't have any bolts anymore. Damn it.
It's only a matter of time now.
As more of the women emerge around him, the artifact burns the skin on Marco's leg. The burning hot rock in his pocket erupts outward violently, expelling molten hot pieces all around him. Marco stands, numb from the brain scourge's influence already. He walks forward into the arms of one of the women to be swallowed with her in the writhing mass of tentacles. Uh-oh, looks like something went wrong. Yeah. Fuck Dennis. Honestly, we're not even going to try to save his dumbass next time. Just leave him there. Leave him there. Out of ammo. What a shame. Be sure to bring ammo and save it for the big guy next time. Okay. Well, that was Welcome to Levy. I had more fun with the game than I thought I was going to. And I'm hoping that we get to kill the weird tentacle, naked lady tentacle monster. Yeah. Well, I'll see you for the next part when we come and finish this game. Because I know you're coming back for the story. Just coming back for the story, right? Don't grope any naked women you find in the woods. Pro tip for you. And I'll see you later.
You say that you love me, say that you need me, say that shit